Bitcoin price has crashed down beneath 90,000 for the first time since April, but it's mysterious timing because we had a giant Bitcoin whale actually sell off and then another one magically buy back into the game after being dormant since the Satoshi era. So why is all of this connected to the potential China and United States economic war? Well, it all leads back to the timing of all of this and some events that happened a little bit before this that lead me to believe that this is an attack on the United States because of the recent seizure that we've had. So let's all dive into this. But first, we got to, of course, hit on how Bitcoin is crashing to down to $91,000. Now, we are all seeing that Bitcoin is falling below, but all of us, as we know, are still faithful that it's going to come back skyrocketing. But it's interesting because a Bitcoin whale magically bought the dip. Now, look at all of this, where the timing of all of this is really interesting because it got down beneath $90,000. And as soon as it got beneath $90,000, boom, the amount of Bitcoin wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin absolutely exploded and went parabolic. And this is the first time that we've seen it happen where it went parabolic on a price dip. As you can see over here, it went parabolic when the price was going up in 2024, then stagnant when the price was there. And then when the price has been somewhat stagnant for a while, around $100,000, the whales have sold off and haven't really bought back in. But if we really take a close look on these buy-ins, it is interesting and it leads a very big picture because there's coincidental timing where a large-scale Bitcoin whale and sell-off occurred during all of this time. And it was a Satoshi era whale where they have been holding Bitcoin for literally over a decade. And this includes billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin moving it. But the reason why people think it's an Asian whale is because, well, this was noted during Asian trading sessions. Of course, we all work around the clock. We live on the internet at this time. But this sell-off being during Asian whale or during the Asian market hours makes a lot of sense. And let me explain why. Because what we've seen here recently is Trump coming outwardly and say that he wants to be the number one in the crypto markets. His number one priority is to beat China. He's saying all of this openly. And so when we see this Bitcoin whale absolutely selling off and Bitcoin trading below 100,000, everybody's like, oh, should there be panic? Because Bitcoin now falling this low, is it coincidental timing? Because China has also accused the US of having a quote unquote secret role in a $4 billion Bitcoin hack here. Because they've said they've had somewhat of an involvement in somewhat of the largest Bitcoin thefts in history. Now, who all remembers what happened here recently? Well, the United States seized this 127,000 Bitcoin, and then we see this little thing right here with the Bitcoin treasuries where we see the United States, the amount on their balance sheet, skyrocket in flight and absolutely take off, where the United States now previously just had about 198,000 Bitcoin, and now they have well over that, well over 300,000, and they're leaving China in the dust. China is now not even close to the amount of Bitcoin that the United States currently has. In fact, the United States has about 12 billion more in Bitcoin than China. So it's interesting timing because, hey, Bitcoin all of a sudden falls below that 90,000 mark shortly after the United States seized all of this Bitcoin. And China was saying, oh, this could be the United States potentially buying and are potentially manipulating all of this, and then they're going to seize this Bitcoin because they want a quote unquote tax-free and a way to accumulate Bitcoin where they don't put any pressure on the tax dollars. They don't want to print any money in order to buy more Bitcoin. Well, they're saying, hey, Washington cracked this hack. They hinted as a hidden operation. The Chinese commentators argue that the seized Bitcoin may be the same as the Libyan funds, implying American authorities could have accessed them years earlier through a covert operation. So all of this is from the Arkham Intelligence, and I've used them to cite a bunch of different Bitcoin wallets here previously. And it's saying that this 2020 hack, that all of a sudden magically the United States popped all of these into their wallets here recently. Well, this is all connected with the recent Bitcoin price dip down beneath that $90,000. So it makes you think, with the US seizing this $14 billion worth of Bitcoin, is China doing this in retaliation because they believe that they should have access to this seized Bitcoin? Now, I'm going to be covering all of this here in more detail, but make sure you guys are subscribed so you know what is going on here and hitting that like button for me so we could spread this one to the masses, because I think a lot of people are worrying right now with the amount of Bitcoin falling down. We're seeing Bitcoin at 91,000. Oh no, the world's ending. But we all know the true power of Bitcoin is that fixed supply of 21 million. And there's going to be infinite amount of dollars. So no matter what is happening in this market, I'm going to be covering it all for you guys. But the interesting aspect and timing of all of this, with Bitcoin worth about $14 billion, all coming in this US-UK crackdown. And who all remembers what happened here recently? The United States and the UK have formed a quote unquote crypto partnership or crypto task force where they're saying, oh, this is a quote unquote game changer, right? Because they're going to do this task force where it's going to help eliminate red tape. And all of this is going to help with the surveillance. They're calling it the Transatlantic Task Force of the future. We'll have 180 days to deliver all this. So shortly after the US and the UK formed this partnership, they cracked down on a $14 billion worth of Bitcoin seizure that allegedly was from a Chinese resident that had been in the UK and in the United States, just traveling back and forth. And so all of this has basically led to the China versus US and the economy that we've seen for quite some time. I mean, Trump's always been saying, I want to be number one in this. I want to be number one in crypto. And then instead, you know, once China starts to see a little bit of traction, that's when we start to get some flags being raised here. So this is very interesting, and it adds to the complexities of the relationships between the two economies. And Trump dropping this quote unquote bombshell where it could risk losing the superpower status to China just 12 days ago, where he said that China's ambitions in the cryptocurrency sector, he spoke during his address, saying that business leaders, that Asian competitors have the opportunity to dominate the digital currency market if America doesn't establish the right policies. I've signed historic executive orders, right? It's not under siege anymore. It's a big industry. He's wanted America to be the global leader in all of this. But China, well, they're not going to let this go down easy, folks. They're going to come out with a war. They're going to come out swinging. And the interesting part of all of this is if you look on chain, we see some massive buyers coming into the market right now. And those buyers, they're not necessarily retail coming in. And it's like, oh, this retail buyer here is buying massive amounts of Bitcoin. No. This is more along the lines of, hey, this retail buyer or this buyer is probably some sort of government. We've had Eric Trump come out and say that the Saudi Arabia is potentially buying Bitcoin. There's been rumors that all these pension funds and banks are buying Bitcoin. Well, maybe, just maybe, it's China buying that Bitcoin. And they're doing it all to dump, and they're having a whale that they're obviously very close with. The Chinese government knows that there's nothing that goes on in China that the government doesn't know about at this point, right? They've got the CBDC, the full-on surveillance, right? In fact, Christine Lagarde is saying, let's model the digital euro off of the Chinese CBDC. These are what these guys are saying openly. They're saying the quiet parts out loud. And then you see the amount of Bitcoin being dumped on chain. You have to ask yourself, okay, what the hell is going on here? And in my eyes, it's the Chinese government looking at what we all saw here, this giant seizure, right? And it's interesting, this line from 0 to 190,000, very straight, where in reality, the Chinese government has a lot of Bitcoin seized initially, 190,000 of it, and they haven't moved it at all. Whereas the United States, as you can see, they sold a little bit of it, seized some more. They stayed a little flat, maybe sold a little bit of it, then boom, parabolic again. So watching all of this, I think China believes that this should be what it should be their Bitcoin. Now, even though we have these countries fighting over Bitcoin, you can still get your hands on some Bitcoin and you don't need to sell. In this bull market, I think it's very advantageous to just keep on stacking. Look at this $91,000 worth of Bitcoin, and you don't want to sell it right now, right? You don't want to panic sell. But if you want to unlock some of that capital, I've got a exclusive offer for you guys here. Thanks to my friends over at Salt Lending. You could go to saltlending.com/green-candle and you could get an exclusive offer. They're actually giving you guys 50 basis points off the best rate that they can offer you by using promo code GCSalt-01. And they're doing that for you guys. So you guys got to go to saltlending.com/green-candle today and use that promo code ASAP because they're giving you 50 basis points off. I mean, they're already giving you the best rate in town, 8.95%. That would get you under 8.5%, 12-month duration, and 70% LTV. They've also got the no liquidation solution. So when you see these price dips, you don't have to be worried about it, folks. Because even though we've got these big players in here, even though we potentially got China and the United States government going at it and trying to manipulate the price, well, you could sleep good at night if you've got a loan out with Salt Lending because of their no liquidation solution. Because, if you really take a close look on what's going on in this market, it's very interesting. This cycle, I know we say every cycle that every cycle is different. But this one truly is like nothing we've ever seen before. I mean, we've got nation states coming out and saying, Abu Dhabi's investment council said we see Bitcoin playing a very big role, including with gold, right? So when we have nation states coming out and saying things like that, I think it's time that we really start to look at how many nation states could be buying Bitcoin. The Abu Dhabi Investment Council tripled its Bitcoin exposure in Q3, and they're coming out to say all this. And Bitcoin dropped below 88,000 or 88,500. So with Bitcoin just keep on following down, right? I mean, Bitcoin has no future if you ask Peter Schiff. But, 112 million Bitcoin and crypto longs will be liquidated if Bitcoin falls below that $89,000 mark. So there's blood in the streets here, folks. There is a lot of blood in the streets. But the good thing is is that we've got massive amounts of buyers coming in. I mean, we've got Saylor coming out and saying that he's never selling. We actually had Michael Saylor buy on Monday, and I'm sure that he's going to keep on buying every single week. I mean, they're launching more and more products in order to get more Bitcoin. And, you know, there's, clips on here, and I think I don't have audio, but Michael Saylor talked with CV Payne about how, hey, Bitcoin's wasted year. The 2023, the year on year return is now negative now that it's fallen behind. But hey, if you really take a step back and look, right, you got to just believe you're seeing strategy continuing to buy Bitcoin. I mean, the fundamentals are there, folks. I mean, I talk about this a lot in my different videos for those of you guys that tune in there. That, if you guys are tuning into my other videos, you know that I keep on talking about this fact. The amount of Bitcoin that's being bought up by treasury companies, it's like nearly 140,000. We have 150,000 just about Bitcoin mined literally for the entire year. And the 130, 140,000 Bitcoin bought by these treasury companies, that's happened in a single quarter. So these treasury companies are buying up as much Bitcoin as the amount that isn't completely mined within 1/4 of the year. And we've just had massive whales come out and sell. That's basically the full fundamentals. I mean, look at the amount of whales that have been selling off here in this chart. And I think it's extremely bullish just seeing that even though we're seeing massive amounts of sell off, one, whales came back, but two, that Bitcoin still has had just a slight drawdown with all of this. Right? Because if you really take a step in and look at the price, this is, something that I think is going to be really bullish here going forward. I mean, the true power of Bitcoin is just not worrying about the price at the end of the day and holding it in self custody. And I've got exclusive offers for you guys. You got to go to the affiliate links down below for Trezor. They've got some rockin' Black Friday deals. And I'm going to list them out for you guys because there is a ton of Black Friday deals here. So you guys, if you've ever thought about getting a hardware wallet, now's the time. Right? So it started today. The Trezor Save 3 and Save 5 models are 40% off. They've never had such discount for those models before. They've got a free wireless charger for anyone ordering the Tesla model or the Trezor Safe 7, not the Tesla, excuse me. So it's a nice bonus for those who want the latest model. So the Trezor Safe 3 and the Safe 5, 40% off. The Safe 7 will give you a free wireless charger. So you can go on down to the affiliate link below or go to trezor.io. I don't know if they'll send you all the way there, but they've got the best hardware wallet, the easiest one to use to get your Bitcoin off exchanges. So you don't have to be looking at all these price charts every time you open your Bitcoin app. And I think that's the best way to do it. And then on top of it, they've got, hey, the Black Week here. If you go to cryptosteel.com/green candle today, the affiliate link down below, this is what you'll see. There's 2% off when you pay with Bitcoin. They've got anonymous purchases if you want it safe and secure. They've got exclusive Black Friday deals, and it's the easiest way to get your Bitcoin off exchanges. The best part about CryptoSteel is they've got a tamper seal on there. So if anybody has looked at it, the rest of these guys, if they have punch plates or something else, well, let's be honest here. The punch plates, I mean, they're great. They can survive anything. But if somebody looks at your seed phrase, you're not sure if they actually, until you go and check your keys. CryptoSteel, because they've got that tamper seal, they've got the best. So be sure to do that. So go to cryptosteel.com/green candle. Use promo code green candle for 10% off. And do it quickly because we got Donald Trump and the Chinese going at it right now. And I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out because, especially with the price going down, is Trump going to potentially blame? Is Trump going to potentially blame Jerome Powell for not cutting interest rates? And I think an interesting little wrinkle of this, what we've seen, is that, Checkmatey, who is actually coming on the show here soon. So if you want to hear his full breakdown about this is a nice little snippet from a pod at TFTC. But he said basically that Bitcoin dropping below that 95K line. He said 60% of invested dollars go underwater at this. So this could be the signal of the next bear market. So the bull market could be over now, folks. And Checkmatey is saying all of these things. And look, I'm not a chart analyst either way. If it is a bear market, I think it's an outstanding buying opportunity. And I think all of you guys should be looking at it in that sense, and especially trying to get your Bitcoin off exchanges during this time. This is where you should educate yourself. Bear markets. I mean, especially when the price is dipping. So make sure to do all that, folks. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell a friend to tell a friend. And I will catch you guys all at the next one. I've got some great videos coming out, so stay tuned because I'm going to be cranking up that content here to end this year. So even though Bitcoin's price is down, the vibes are still high. So I'll catch you guys all at the next one.